It hit like a bombshell. Telegrams came in from all over the world. My old Professor Kohler at Harvard, he wrote, "I pray that you are right. If not, the future may be very dark for you."
Part of what he's just done here is a go-for-broke plan. He's working as an underpaid assistant in a liberal arts college. He desperately needs a break.
Now the pressure was on Julian and Pico to prove they were right.
Percy was a bundle of nerves, but yet he had this underlying drive that didn't permit him to stop, to run away, to give up.
To confirm his synthesis, Julian needed to take one final melting point.
When chemists took a melting point, they would put some crystals into a capillary tube, strap that capillary tube to a thermometer, and then place the complete assembly into an oil bath. They're looking to determine the exact moment when the crystals begin to melt.
To claim victory over Robinson, Julian had to show that another set of crystals from his synthesis melted at the same temperature as their natural counterpart, 135 degrees.
Finished!
This has got to be the ultimate high. I've taken on the master and I've beaten him.
The physostigmine papers were immediately recognized as a milestone in American chemical history, an early example of what chemists call total synthesis, the complete assembly of a complex molecule from basic chemical building blocks.
Julian's pathway to physostigmine is so simple that it can be summarized in essentially 2 publications. Chemists look at them and marvel at how did he do that in so elegant of a sequence.
To call a process elegant means that the synthesis is achieved in the minimum amount of steps necessary in order to bring about a product. And so that's really to give it the highest accolade that you can give, that it is elegant.
In 1935, Percy finally married Anna in a private ceremony on Christmas Eve. As his bride went back east to finish her doctorate, Julian looked forward to new career opportunities his triumph would bring. On the strength of his physostigmine work, William Blanchard had recommended his protege for a permanent faculty position at DePauw.
If DePauw had recognized Percy's capabilities and put him on the staff at that time, it would have been a historical event. It didn't happen.
Julian applied to other universities with the same result.
Most of the institutions would not even tolerate for a second having an African American in the role of a teacher or faculty.
This was during a time of rampant scientific racism. There were a number of scholars at Harvard and other institutions that were doing scientific studies and reporting that African Americans did not have the capacity to do science because they were actually an inferior race.
In early 1936, Julian's research grant ran out. Now, with no hope of an academic career, he turned his attention to industry. America's leading chemical corporation, DuPont, had invited Julian and Pico for an interview. DuPont executives offered Pico a job. To Julian, he later recalled, they offered an apology. "We didn't know you were a Negro."
The world of chemical research and development in industry in this period was overwhelmingly white Anglo-Saxon Protestant men. And outsiders were not really all that welcome.
At Julian's insistence, Pico took the job at DuPont and spent the rest of his career there. Julian returned to the job hunt.
Day by day, as I entered these firms, presented my credentials, and asked for a job, The answer almost seemed like it had been transmitted by wire from one firm to the other. It ran like this: "We've never hired a Negro research chemist before. We don't know how it would work out."
Finally, Julian caught a break. The Institute of Paper Chemistry in Appleton, Wisconsin, was prepared to make him an offer.
And then they were informed by city attorneys that an old Appleton statute forbade Negroes from being housed in Appleton overnight. This in the year of our Lord 1936. But in that meeting, there sat a board member, an Irishman named William J. O'Brien.
O'Brien was vice president of the Glidden Company. He'd been looking for a sharp chemist to run the company's new Chicago laboratory. He offered Julian the job of director of research.
I had already wired Anna several times that I had landed the job, so this time I was a little more cautious. I'm considering offer Glidden Company in research at $5,000. Her reply came back, "What do you mean considering?"
The fact that Percy Julian was hired to be the director of a laboratory, not just a member of a laboratory, is truly remarkable and unprecedented.
That was 10 years before Jackie Robinson, you know? And we look toward the Jackie Robinson example as being pivotal in opening up not just baseball, but a whole lots of other opportunities for black people.
And so I came to Chicago and started in on another fascinating plant, the soybean.